You're welcome on Black HOTFIRE Network. Uh, good evening from Uganda. It is me, Africa Maria, in the audio today. Um, and of course, my colleague NNOSSSETU will be joining us shortly. Uh, we are a little bit late today because we have been having a heavy downpour and that electricity is actually on and off, and this is apparently why we are not seeing Innocent with us today. And but I believe he's going to be joining us shortly as I take you through today's topic. Of course, the reason behind Africa's bad governance. It is me, Africa Maria, from Kampala, Uganda, and it is, of course, a Tuesday today, the 1st of October. Happy New Month, everybody. I hope and also pray that this month, of course, becomes a blessing to whoever loves and supports Black Hot Fire Network and also watches our show. I send out shout outs to everybody who supports Black Hot Fire Network and those who endeavor to always watch Straight Talk Show with me, Africa Maria, and my colleague Inosetu. Of course, at around this particular hour, we don't have a fixed time, but of course, it's usually in the afternoon or the evening, East African time. Today's topic, of course, is a topic that is a question or it raises eyebrows all over the African continent, apparently, like the whys. Why is Africa experiencing the bad governance? Why are we going through all this? Why are we giving votes to the people we trust and, of course, receive totally, the results that are not expected? Why do we have bad governance in Africa? Why do you have bad leaders? Why do you have dictators? Why do we have everything about Africa's government going wrong every time? Um, why is this shit not going off? All right, there we go. So we have had a lot of questions that and today's topic is actually here to give you a few. And like I always say, most of the things, especially the things that are happening in Africa, are not are things that I think are actually the reasons. So it is okay for someone to disagree or agree with me. These are not issues about Black Hot Fire Network as a company, but my own words. This is how at times I view things. Usually, whenever I'm going to have a straight talk like this without sharing videos or any others, any past, anyone else's content, I usually take full responsibility of every word I utter when it comes to such kind of issues. And um, I may be wrong, I may be right. You may feel like what I'm saying is not right, but yeah, these are my words and this is how I say it. So I take full responsibility uh, to such kind of things. Africa's governance challenges. Africa's government challenges are rooted in a complex mix of historical, political, social, economic, and cultural factors. Now, while many African countries have many significant strides in development and democratization, persistent governance issues remain that Africa's governance is a poor one. Now we know that colonial legacy has left quite a tremendous ban that is still affecting Africa's, of course, governance. For example, we have seen the artificial borders. Why am I saying the artificial borders? These are divisions that were created by the colonizers to divide Africa, to make Africa an easy place for them to control. German had a portion, Britain had a portion, France had a portion, the Portuguese had their own portion, and they divided Africa of course, to make it easier for them to govern. And when they were leaving Africa, these artificial borders or these boundaries, they never left to these boundaries. They left them down here. Because when the colonizers came, they gave us a different identity entirely. They named us according to whatever they found fit, because they wanted to have us as a commodity that they would control. Now, European powers arbitrarily divided Africa during the 19th and the 20th centuries. Now, grouping diverse ethnic groups within a single state without regard for cultural, linguistic, or religious differences. This has contributed to ethnic tensions, internal conflicts, and struggles for national identity, making governance more and more difficult. All right. It is very hard for us to have this with all the differences in culture, religion, and all these tribalism. When we had the borders set in Africa, these borders did not only stop with the land partitioning, but also it entered in our minds. This is why it is important when you are attaining the European kind of education for a child to know that this is all about, this is Uganda, the other one is Kenya. I'm extremely different from all that. So the doctrination started way back, and it is still, it has affected us for a very long time until now. Colonial powers established centralized or authoritarian administrative system to exploit resources, leaving behind weak institutions after independence. Now, when the colonizers established centralized or authoritarian administrative system, which enabled them to exploit Africa's resources, uh, when they were leaving, this entire system was never demolished. Okay, they are wherever they are. We claim that we have independence, we claim we do not have colonization, yet the system that was built, that's that the colonial power, the system that was built or established, that is centralized, the authoritarian administrative system, which was designed to exploit Africa, still exploits Africa until to date, even in their physical absence. All right, because they left the system that is supporting their exploitation. Now, these weak institutes often foster corruption, inefficiency, and a lack of accountability. This entire system started long time ago. Now you cannot use the same system that Mzungu used on Africa's soil to exploit Africa and not give answers to Africa. This is the same system. This is why we even see Africans falling in the same system. This was the root of corruption. This was the root of exploitation. The entire system is designed to exploit that. Even Africa is being exploited by its own people. Africa is being exploited by its own people. All right. Now we know that Africa itself has a weak political is weak when it comes to political institutions. Many African states suffer from weak or inactive separation of powers between the executive, legislature, and the judicial branches. Now, this allows for the concentration of power in the hands of a few individuals or political elites, leading to authoritarianism and, of course, corruption. Elections in some African countries are frequently marred by fraud, violence, and intimidation, leading to illegitimate leadership and a lack of trust in democratic processes. Many rulers manipulate constitutions or extend their term limits to remain in power. Of course, this has been so visible. This has been visible in, for example, Uganda. We saw this in Zimbabwe. We are seeing this in Rwanda, where leaders use the constitution to change the constitution itself. They expand the years they're supposed to be in, of course, governance, turning their of course turning their leadership or governance into dictatorship. We've seen all the things happening, and actually this is so very much visible in Africa. We have had the issue of democracy. Let's get electoral elections, but we have had electoral manipulations in some African countries. Apparently, and most of the African countries have had electoral manipulation, where apparently a leader, even or the president, decides that now that we are changing the age limit. If at all we are to stop at 65, now we are going to 100 something. We have had African leaders, for example, the typical African leaders who are extremely very old, even when he's talking, saliva has been leaking down, dropping, like someone cannot even talk. You ask them their name, they cannot even mention. They can you imagine people having such kind of a leader? This is a typical example of the failure of Africa's governance. Even your leader cannot even introduce themselves, they cannot even say anything. All right. And this whole thing leaves Africa in a fraud, legitimate, and violent situation. So it's quite a I was looking at I was trying really to cross check, like how many African countries have benefited for on what is usually called democracy. I know a lot of people will raise questions. We introduced this to Africa, we gave them democracy, they are supposed to obey. Democracy has failed even the developers of democracy. Democracy has failed even the Bazungu who introduced democracy. When we look at democracy, it is the power, simply, just in the simple terms, it's the power of the majority over the minority. Is the power of the people, for the people, by the people. It is the power of the majority over the minorities. So the majorities win. In a nutshell, the majorities win. The majorities take lead when it comes to democracy. But when it comes to decision making in Africa, the minorities usually win. And we have seen this more especially when they are being backed up by external influence, when they are being backed up by the Western. Come and put my signal. where they're being backed up by the Westerners or the Western countries. For example, when we look at homosexuality, right now, homosexuality is something that is supported by just the few of the people in Africa who are practicing it. In other words, we are having a biggest population or percentage of Africa not supporting homosexuality, but rather we are seeing that homosexuality, they are forcing homosexuality to take control over Africa. Yet these are the same people who are preaching democracy to us, but they decided that homosexuality should override the population of Africa. What does that really mean? HOTFIRE. So it shows even themselves, even the people who created democracy, it is just a scam. Democracy is a scam to make people think that everything is all right. The decisions they are making are being supported by others. All right, Maria, since now you've decided this, definitely you have got a lot of people who are supporting you in this. They believe the way you do, but in actual sense, that is not the result. All right. So, um, corruption is a pervasive in corruption is pervasive in many African countries, from the top levels of government to local institutions. Now, it diverts resources away from public goods like healthcare, education, and infrastructure, further in quenching poverty and inequality. Now, we know that in many African states, governance is dominated by clientelism. Now, where leaders distribute state resources to maintain the loyalty of ethnic, political, or economic supporters. Now, this weakens the merit based governance and distorts policy priorities. There is a certain time when I was trying to explain this to Keith, but of course, I know he did not understand this point because um, we have seen patronage system. A patronage system in many a patronage system is when the governance is dominated by clientelism, where leaders distribute state resources to maintain the loyalty of the ethnic, political, or economic supporters. I was trying to I was trying to tell Keith the situation in Uganda. It is okay for someone to deny this, but what is going on in Uganda is the patronage system. The patronage system. Someone tries to patronize. They keep on patronizing the voters. When you look at some regions in Uganda, not all regions love the president, the current president. And if you look at the regions that don't love them, he's not doing a lot of things for them. And there are some other regions, and he does what we call the patronizing leadership kind of system. That as you are crying for help, as other people are crying for help, there are other people who don't want him to step down because they are benefiting from his governance. So this has been seen. We have seen the same thing where they say, this certain tribe, they can do whatever they want to do simply because they are being patronized by the president or the government, and others feel left out of place. So we have got patronage system in Africa where leaders think it is okay for them to patronize a certain given group of people in order for them to keep on getting votes. They choose a specific ethnic, if it is their ethnic or not. They know that they are going to concentrate, but they are going to distribute resources to those ethnic and turn them to be so loyal to them, and of course gain support, continuous support in their political career. You know that many African countries rely heavily on natural resources, oil, minerals, gold, all right, uh, diamonds, and so on for their revenue. Um, but you realize that this resource that we can see, I will say, the resource curse has fostered corruption, political instability, and conflict, as ruling elites often capture resource wealth at the expense of broader economic development. I'm going to give you a typical example of course, Congo. Congo is one of the countries, is among the richest countries in Africa. Is among the resource richest country in Africa. But Congo is not developed because we have got that we have got a situation where a politician or the ruling party, or foster corruption, and of course cause conflicts, instabilities, uh you know over the other. Because remember, when the ruling party makes deals with whoever wants to exploit Africa, we see that other Africans will not benefit from such kind of things. And as the people who are benefiting from this make sure that they keep those in power. We have seen, for example, where Russia is coming in to support other African leaders because they have signed treaties and agreement. It is important for them to remain in power so that they can keep on gaining resources from Africa, or they can keep on gaining whatever it is that they have signed on the sheet or on the contract with the particular leaders. So we are seeing conflicts in Africa. It is not that some other leaders where the conflict infested areas it is not that those leaders do not understand what is happening. They definitely understand what is going on with their area. They definitely understand what's going on with their country. But it's important for these countries to still have these conflicts, because it is important for the countries to have instabilities as they are being exploited by the so-called elites. All right, because these are the same people that keep them in power. That means Africa's bad governance is not only supported by the bad leaders in Africa, but it is also supported by the internationals. It is supported by the European. It is supported by whoever wants to gain whatever it is they want to gain from Africa. And yes, we know, we see on televisions, we see on interviews, everyone, all the leaders outside Africa trying to condemn Africa for being what it is, for going through what it is. But we know these are the big people behind the situation. They also have a hand in this whole a situation. Now, some African governments rely on foreign aid, you know, which can undermine state accountability to citizens. Donor conditions sometimes emphasize short-term stability over long-term governance reform, which of course ends up supporting corruption. You know, I'm gonna say I usually love to give the example of COVID-19, because this is something that almost affected every country in one way or the other, and it affected like all of us. They infected and they affected, of course. You see, when COVID-19 came, do you guys know that a lot of African countries claimed that they have COVID-19 because of the aid that was coming with it, because of the money that the countries were receiving, because of the package that was coming. with the COVID-19 situation. COVID-19 was sponsored a lot. There was a lot of money that was given out because of this particular thing. So it is also one of the reasons why we still have a lot of corruption and bad governance in Africa. It keeps people greedy. It stops them from being straightforward. And if at all we are to look at a lot of African countries that are taking in aid a lot, these are the countries that are even extremely corrupt to the core. We don't need to depend on foreign aid. We don't need to depend on foreign aid. Many African countries are home to numerous ethnic groups with the long-standing rivalries of tensions. Political leaders sometimes um, exploit these divisions to maintain power by favoring certain groups over others, leading to marginalization, discrimination, and conflicts. This is visible almost in every African country. We have the ruling ethnic every time. It doesn't matter the tribe, the language the leader is. We have the ruling ethnic. And through this is where we see the exposed and the non-exposed, the elite and the non. The government is apparently divided, you know. Sorry. I'm eating honey. I'm eating honey. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Mm-hmm. Now I have got an issue of civil wars, insurgencies, and violent conflicts. Um, in some regions of Africa now, the ongoing conflicts, such as those in the Sahel, Central African Republic, and the Horn of Africa, they weaken the state institution and create environments which is ripe for poor governance. We have had a lot that actually has been going on. We have seen, for example, Ibrahim Traore coming into power, trying to change the Burkina Faso legacy, bad governance legacy, sorry. He's trying to change things and make them work. He's trying to make sure that he creates an environment that is favorable for the Burkina Faso people, with good governance and a good economy. He's trying to build, of course, a better economical system for the people. But still, we are seeing there are a lot of rebellions that are going on in Burkina Faso. Now, this kind of environment turns a country to be, of course, unstable and be labeled as a country of bad governance. If at all you fail to control the insurgencies, if at all you fail to control, of course, the creation of rebellions and the uprisings. And this is all caused by unsatisfaction. Like, apparently, a lot of Africans are not satisfied. Everyone wants to take power. It doesn't matter what the person wants to do. All they know, they want to be leaders. They want to take over, of course, power. This is why I will say that Africa lacks visionary leadership. Now, we lack visionary leadership. That leaders don't have visions. They don't know why they want to be leaders. They don't know. They don't cry. They don't hurt for Africa. They don't know that whatever is going on in Africa should actually, sorry, they don't even care with whatever is going on. All right. Leadership in some African countries is characterized by self interest, the personal enrichment, and a focus on maintaining power rather than serving the public. This is something that is happening. Our leadership lacks or is categorized by self interest, personal enrichment, and a focus on maintaining power rather than serving the public. When you become a leader, you become a leader for the people. You become a leader for the people, not for you yourself. If at all we are to look at protecting the people's resources, then you are ready to lay your life. But most African leaders, everything they do, they are not even leaders. I don't want to use that word. African politicians, they are not visionaries. They lack visionary leadership. The moment someone is coming into power, the first thing that comes into their mind, I want to change my own life. They're not coming into power to change the people's life. They want to change their own life and they don't really care what is going on. It is me and me alone and my family and what I want to do for my people. And I want to extort the majority for that small family that I have. I don't care what is going to happen with the majority, if at all the minorities are fine. And this is the lack of visionary leadership. This is the focusing on self-interest, personal enrichment, and focusing on maintaining power rather than serving the public. Now, this hampers the development of inclusive, transparent, and accountable governance. In many countries, mechanisms to hold leaders accountable, such as independent media, civil society, and functioning judiciary, are either weak or absent. We don't have the media. I'm going to see, for example, uh, so Keith, don't end the show. I'm still talking to NNOSSSETU.
What about NNOSSSETU?
I'm still talking to him.
NNOSSSETU came to do what? Say it again, Maria.
Don't end the show. I'm talking to NNOSSSETU on the phone.
I'm not in any show. I just popped in. I'm not in the show. I just popped in. I just see what you guys are saying.
Yeah, so we've been talking about the reasons behind Africa's bad governance.
Well, you know the reason behind Africa's bad governance. White people put the puppets in there, and the Africans have been kept ignorant. They don't understand what bad governance is. They've been given false religions. They go worship the fake gods that don't exist to help them have good governance. So it never changes. The Africans been made a coward. They, same thing, same thing, same thing. Job and them were just talking about on their shows. Same exact thing. Price of freedom is death. Blood. Plus, power is not given, it's taken. So that's what they were talking about because the gentleman in Kenya, a reporter who was trying to tell the truth about the governor in a certain province was taken out of his home and they sodomized him. A group of goons took my home and sodomized him. So, how can you live in a democracy if I'm getting sodomized for just criticizing the governor for not doing his job? You don't. Africans are supposed to stay in fear. You give them fake things. Oh, the democracy. You don't live in any democracies in no goddamn Africa. Kenya's not a democracy. Uganda's not a democracy.
Because
Nigeria's
if at all
not
it is democracy, true, I agree with you. If at all it is democracy, why is it that the minorities vote wins?
Exactly.
When it comes to homosexuality, they want homosexuality to win, yet they are just the minorities. It is not a big
Exactly.
population of homosexuals.
Exactly. Because homosexuals won't fight white people. That's why they wanted to turn white people into homosexuals. It was a whole agenda, Maria. Because the homosexual's not going to fight you. He's not going to fight for his land. He's not going to fight for his rights. He's not going to fight for his power. He's worried about his sexual access. He's not going to fight to defend his family. He can't make a family. So
Sure.
exactly right. And then you ask him, why is that agenda pushed on the African people so much? They're not pushing on these white Arabs who told them no. Why are they not pushing on that? Why are they constantly pushing on African people, no matter where you find us, whether we're on the continent or off the continent, whether we're in America, Jamaica, Haiti, Brazil, Colombia. That agenda has been pushed on African people globally. And the majority of black people, what? Are against it. They use propaganda and try to shame you.
True.
Boomerang.
Because the homosexuals have nothing to lose. They're not going to be fighting for land because they even have no one who's going to inherit their land. The homosexuals are living for today. They have no legacy to protect.
Exactly.
They have no families. So they don't really care. So
Exactly.
I do understand. I see that picture. And this is unfortunately Africans cannot see this the way it is. We have had a lot of bad there are things that are actually extremely obvious, but of course there are things that people should be fighting for. There are things that are worthy unifying in fight for, but these are the things that we are not seeing people come together. How is the sexual part of this whole thing important, because first of all, looking at this, the entire structure of homosexuality, it does not add anything, but it is being carried as something that is extremely important. This is something I've been discussing, that we talk about democracy in Africa, yet we don't see democracy being practiced. It is okay to blame the Africans leaders and everything that is going on. Of course, they have failed, they are wrong. But at times the people that condemn and blame these whole, blame everything on Africans are the same people that created Brownie. There are some people that created this entire situation that Africa is in right now. We know that with the creation of borders, artificial borders, colonial powers drew African borders with little regard for existing ethnic, cultural, or linguistic groups. Now, this arbitrary division forced different and sometimes rival groups to coexist within newly formed states, which of course has been leading to ethnic tensions and conflicts. And for the fact that even when we still follow our education system that divides us within different ethnic tribes and all that, trying to identify us differently, trying to categorize us as different people, that some people
Exactly.
will say, we know we are Africans, but we are not related to you because for us, we come from the other side.
Yeah.
This
And
type of
they started making all these fake names, analytics and all these Kushites, all these crazy names they start making was a lie. Because the majority of Africans who
yeah.
created Central Africa are Bantu people. That's what you are. That's
Mm,
why if you go to the genetics, Maria, that genetically you're the same. But white people use a thing of divide and conquer. That if they divide you
mm,
until you're different people, because you already have different tribes, so you believe in different people anyway. So I come in and just highlight that even more, cause more division. That keeps me in power. If that keeps you fighting
mm,
each other, not knowing that genetically you're the same people.
mm.
You know,
True.
my genetics is the same as yours, Maria. If we did a genetic test, my genetics would be the same as yours. But you say, oh, I'm different. I'm an African American and you're a Ugandan. You're like, no, stupid. We're both
Mm.
Africans first.
And
Both
this was
Africans
done
first.
before. And this was done before because to maintain control, colonial powers often practiced a divide and rule strategy.
Exactly.
They were favoring a certain ethnic group over others, and they started categorizing. For example, the British in Nigeria favored the Hausa Fulani in the north.
Exactly,
Oh,
exactly. They did.
yes.
That's why they left them in power. You're right. I know you. I know you knew that. Yeah, that's why they left them in power because they were the bootlickers. They left them in power,
Mm,
Maria, because they were the bootlickers. They were the ones. They were going to be bootlicking and do the bidding of the British. That's why they wanted them in power. And ain't
mm,
it funny? But they turned everybody to their faith with the Christian people down amongst the Yoruba and the Igbo. They didn't want them in charge. So it's never been about religion with
true.
this beta white man because he wanted
Mm,
whoever was going to suck up to him and do his bidding. So the House of Fulani were the ones doing his bidding in Nigeria. So they left them in charge.
mm, true. The
So he
same
didn't
story with the Belizeans in Rwanda.
he didn't say Maria. Oh, the Yoruba are my Christian brothers. 'Cause I made them Christian. Let's leave the country in control of them. They said, nah, fuck all that.
No,
These goddamn
yeah.
Muslims do my bidding, and I'm gonna use them. Go ahead.
The same story with the Belizeans in Rwanda who were
Of
favoring the
course.
Tutsi over the Hutu.
Exactly. Exactly because remember exactly they came in because remember the Tutsi are the minority, Hutu are the majority. The Hutu are the Bantu people. They're the majority. So I'm going to come along and
Mm,
cause division because in division, Maria, I keep control.
Yeah, and keep this division until now still exists. It's because we
Of
still have the
course.
same situation. How Hausas taking over in Nigeria, in Rwanda, the same situation,
Yes.
and in Sudan. So these whole things started way back. And at
Yeah.
times when I see them trying to point fingers, Africa, you are doing this, they know this is the game they set. They
Yeah,
set
because
this game.
exactly, Maria. So they kept the ignorance going. You not the division, and you kept along with the division. Just like the lady when you told me that lady was on that lady in Uganda was gonna get mad when I said what I said. You're right. I said, hey, I just told her. I said we gotta stop the tribal stuff in Uganda and this and this. Oh, you shut up.
Mm.
I, I said, "No, Maria, she's not gonna come after me." He said, "Yeah, Keith, she lady's gonna come after you." And as soon as I said that, she did.
Sure, sure.
So that lady came after me, boy. I was like, "Wow." she called me. She called me everything but a child of God, Maria.
Mm. If now that we in Africa we still follow the same political structure or the political institutions that were designed by the
By the
colonizers. This is
Europeans,
very
of course.
Yes, these authoritarian administrative systems
Yes,
were constructed or they were built, of course, and as by the colonial powers, which established centralized and authoritarian government. And
exactly,
this
Maria.
kind of system were aiming at extracting resources and controlling the population.
Exactly,
When they
exactly.
were supporting this whole structure, they were aiming at controlling the Africa's population and extracting the resources. And this is why we still have this kind of structure here, because this is the design.
Exactly. So,
This is the
Maria,
design.
I was asking Maria, what's the difference between you and other Africans? Are you able to know so much and other Africans are not, Maria? That's what that's where it comes. That's where it comes to ignorance. I'm saying, why do you know so much and other Africans don't? They went to the same school system you did. That was not good, but why were you able to figure it out and they're not? That's what I'm asking.
True.
Because what you're saying is true. The same authority, because Africa, you right, was said by the Europeans to extract the wealth out of Africa and to keep Africans poor and stupid. That's a fact.
Mm.
And supposedly when you got that fake independence, they never gave you no independence. It was to put their puppets in charge. Only time Uganda ever got free was under Idi Amin. Idi Amin, shout out to that
Mm.
great man. Too bad he fucked up and tried to invade Tanzania. I wish he wouldn't have did that. But I don't know why he did try to unite that kingdom back. Go, hold on. Go ahead, Maria.
Okay. So, like we are, or like I was saying, we have had this, of course, kind of governance, and at times we complain why shit is not going on well, why we are experiencing what we are experiencing now. But we ought to remember that the kind of system we are using that was designed to control the population, as it is exploiting or extracting minerals from the population. This is the same structure that we are using, the structure that we know nothing about, the structure, because for you to be that kind of politicians, you have to have studied the political background, and you realize that this whole thing was designed. It is like when I wake up one day and try to design something that I have knowledge about, something that I find that suits or fits in my understanding, and then you as a person, you come to use the same thing. There is definitely a reason why this is the way it is. For example, I'm gonna use some kind of wear. Let's assume people usually have what we call the winter boots. Okay, those boots that people usually wear during winter, the boots that have fur, they are woolly, they have they have wool around them. They are warm and hot, and if you wear these boots, of course you feel the warmth. And have this winter boot, come with it here in Africa and wear it, and you'll see
What
the
about what
heat.
about what about the winter boots, Maria? What about the boots?
I'm trying to set an example of like the system that we inherited. Let me say we inherited
Okay,
this.
okay.
Now, these boats only work with the people who live in winter, in coldness. It cannot work for the African. This is the example of the system that we have. We inherited the system which was wrong from the beginning.
Of course.
You
So
know,
who's winning? Who's wearing winter boots in Africa? I didn't know.
okay, shut up.
I didn't know nothing about that. Who's wearing winter boots in Africa? I didn't know nothing about that.
So you mean when you went to Kenya, you didn't see Kenyans wearing winter boots?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't really think they were winter boots. I didn't know that. I didn't really under. I never really put the connection there, Maria. So yeah, I just thought there was some shoe. I didn't even. I didn't even. I wasn't even. I didn't even think of it like that, Maria. You're right. I thought it was just. I thought it was just like a fashion or some shit.
So,
I
so
didn't really
see,
believe. Wow.
you cannot be wearing that in a place where it is not designed for it. They
I know.
designed it for coldness.
I thought they just wearing the shit, because they do, because they 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 put their used clothes in Africa. I just thought Africans were wearing because they were cheap or some shit. I didn't think about that.
Do you know? Have you ever realized that when you travel in the Middle East, they don't wear clothes, the shoes, not because they cannot afford the shoes, but
Because
because
it's
of the
hot.
heat.
Because the
Also,
heat.
they
Because
wear
it's hot.
open shoes.
I,
They wear
they were open
flats.
shoes. I know because of the hot.
Yeah,
Exactly. But
yeah.
I know. I would think the Africans would do that too, but I thought they did because they used them. Because Africans were getting those they got them used clothes, them secondhand clothes and shoes and shit.
You will
I
even
never.
find some Africans wearing winter boots in the Middle East.
I never thought it. That's a good observation. I never even thought of it like that.
It is because the way Africans behave, they just imitate everything without questioning the reason why this is happening.
Exactly. That's
And this
what
is
we
why
were
I was
saying.
giving the
That's what
example
we were
of the
saying.
winter.
That's I was in the other show. And they got mad at me when I said that. You just said what I said. They just take
Mm,
on everything that's non-African and accept it. And I said,
mm.
like I told Airtime, that's what you got to say, Airtime. We got to speak truth here. Whether it hurt or not, whether it hurts or not, we got to have the conversation. Why do Africans just accept everybody else's shit,
Mm-hmm.
culture, or things instead of their own, holding their own? And that's been a problem. Either,
You know,
either I'm telling either I'm telling a
I
lie, Airtime, or I'm telling the truth. Go ahead, Maria.
Sure. I usually used to tell people we have had a lot of Africans try and get the European kind of dressing style and all that. You know, a white person may work when she's a woman, she may wear whatever she's wearing, and she may work when she's totally naked, and no one is gonna be glancing, no one is gonna be looking or gazing at that person, not even give that person a second glance. And if I told you to get a black woman and make a black woman wear, or an African woman wear exactly just like the white woman is wearing, you will see how a lot of people are gazing. And at times you'll find people trying to say, when white people wear this kind of clothes, nobody's trying to look at them in a weird way. It is not that they are looking at you in a weird way. It is your body. It is your body. Your body is not the same as the other. it is the body type
Exactly.
that we in
You're
Africa
exactly
do.
right, Maria. An African woman is more what? More curvaceous. So she's more
Yes.
sexy. So a
And then
white woman's
you're
body
gonna
is like a stick.
complain. You're gonna complain because the men's eyes are popping up, and then you're complaining
Exactly.
that why are you looking at me? You're forgetting that your body, the sensation of your body, is quite different,
Exactly. Your
right?
body is more not the African woman's body is more sexy. So it's more curvaceous. So it's gonna stand out more. Exactly right, Maria.
So
Exactly.
you will find, and so a lot of people, men will be saying this is not right, not because they feel like it's not right, but they feel like it is temptating. It's putting them out of place. And like some other people in office will say, please, ladies, don't put them like that because people
Hold
need
on,
to
Maria. Maria, are you on your computer?
yes, I am.
Okay, I want you to do so. I want you to go to YouTube real quick. This happened in Kenya and Uganda, but I remember the video in Kenya.
But
Uh,
remember, my laptop does not share.
oh, you can't share? Okay, I thought you could share. If you can't share, don't worry
It
about it.
can't.
You you don't got no lights on. That's right. You don't have any lights, I guess. How you over on your computer? You don't got any lights. How you got power?
I'm using solar.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But I wanted to give a definition, an example of what Maria's talking about. So,
Mm,
what Maria's talking about, there was a sense like Maria said, you get everything from the white people. So the Kenyan police uniforms come from Britain. I'm sure the Ugandans one too come from Britain as well. So they have police women in Kenya. So they had these police uniforms that they had given to Kenyan women, but they like Maria said, they said they were inappropriate, not because the uniforms were inappropriate, because the Kenyan woman's body was too curvy. So it showed all the ass and hips and titties. They're like, God damn.
true, true, true.
So they were like, so it looked different. That uniform looked different on the white woman than the African woman. And they said, oh, whoa, we gotta do something with these uniforms. Go, Maria.
We've had a lot of women complaining, African women, you African people are so this, are so that, but you forget. Like we see a lot of white people putting on the same, and when we try to do it, it's like everyone is condemning. No, it is not like they're trying to condemn actually. Because imagine in an office that has mixed male and female workers, and then you come dressed like that. It is just human for someone to of course, be affected by your appearance, if at all.
Yeah.
People's minds and it will be all over the place. And this is why some people keep on saying, no, please, okay? It is not because they feel like it is disgusting for a woman to wear like that. They know it is beautiful. But a lot of African men are not comfortable with that because the appearance does not make it makes them sexually uncomfortable. All right,
Yeah.
with
Honest.
that, and I know a lot of women unknowingly feel offended. All right, when people say don't do that, people are trying to say that because of their own good or their sanity, I should say. It is not something to be shy about. I've seen those cops arrest me, please. Please.
Exactly. Remember, I wish I could. I wish Maria did have some lights. Or Seta was around. I wish Seta had things to show that video. It was funny because, like Maria just said, so that just really proving Maria's point. Look, because the uniform was the same uniform, it's just that the African woman's body is completely different than the European woman's body. The African woman's body is more curvy. It's just a fact. It's more sexual or sexy. So when they had those Kenyan women put on that, it was like, God damn. Like, God damn. Because in the same uniform the white women wear in England, they don't get the same with the white women, the black women, it's like, oh shit. Oh shit. It was hilarious. Oh shit! this 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 uniform is different. It's different than the ones they got in England. And now it's the same uniform. It's a different woman that's got it on. So yeah. So what Maria's saying is truthful. That's true. That's true.
So
Oh
that's a
man.
typical
But
example
let's
that
set the way. Let's set the. Is it power up or something? Let's set the way it's at.
yes, so
It's
Seti's
power.
power is on. It's
Uh,
raining heavily in
Okay,
Kampala.
okay, okay. That's what's good. Yeah, because I like if I would like to have a set of show, and he would have been smiling and laughing. Oh wow, yeah, good.
So this is actually these are the things that really show us that despite the fact that people want to imitate, you want to adapt the clothing style. Now that is the police uniform that was given by the British. Now the African women are wearing it and it is causing havoc. So you
Yeah, did you
understand
see?
that a
Yeah,
lot of things that
yeah,
are
yeah. Exactly right.
not designed,
Exactly right. It was causing havoc because they said that the uniform was
there are a
too
lot of things
sexy.
that
It
are not
wasn't. It
designed
was. It
by
wasn't the
for
uniform that was too sexy because it was the same uniform. It's the African woman that was too sexy. They said, hey, this uniform's too sexy. It's the
yes.
African woman that's too sexy because it was the same uniform.
I think this is something we as African people, yeah, it's fine. I really support that. But on this case, we as African people have to get to understand that we are totally different people. You cannot be, of course, using something that was designed by the Europeans and
Yep.
think it's going to work on you. First of all, the genetics are actually different.
True.
Even if we are
Completely
to
different.
look at drugs, medications, the way of eating is differently. You cannot say I'm trying
Completely
to,
different.
of course, yeah, imitate how the whites or the Europeans eat, or because I want to lose fat, and you are following a channel of a Mzungu woman, and she's telling you, eat this, do this, you're gonna be slim, and you as an African woman think that you're gonna follow that and do the
It
same.
won't, and it
You are
won't work.
on a wrong
Exactly right.
channel.
Exactly
Yes,
right.
you are on a wrong channel. You don't. You are following the wrong person. All right, because you are totally different. The truth should be told. And a lot of
No, they
people
don't
will
want.
say, "Well,
They don't want that told, Maria. They don't want the Europeans don't want that told because they don't want. They want to tell that we're all the same. It's just the color's different. They don't want because if they tell you about your biology, Maria, is superior to theirs. They don't want you to know
mm,
that. So they're not
mm,
going to tell you that. Remember, we're supposed to be backward and ignorant, and we're supposed to be beneath them.
mm,
Biologically, we're the most superior people on the planet. That's why you see all these athletes are black. And the African
mm,
woman has the most superior genes of all of us. They don't want that known, Maria. So
yes,
they don't want that known at all.
you know."
So they're not going
So
so
mm,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Maria.
we have seen many people. There is, when that they say that even their Bible says that the truth will set you free. Unfortunately,
They don't
people
believe in
don't
that.
practice
They don't
that
believe.
part
They don't
very
believe in none of that shit. I was laughing at Eric. They don't believe in none of that shit. Like I told that Bible mind shit's for Africans. It's like they didn't want to leave Nigeria with the people they made Christian. We made all you
much.
people Christian. I know. Leave us in charge. And nah, niggas, we don't want you like you fighters. We're gonna leave these Muslim motherfuckers in the north in charge. So it's like I told, it's like I told Airtime, right? Because now everybody's coming out talking about because the first when the religion was created, they used the black Jesus, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
because of that part of Africa, that was black people. There was no white Arabs you see today. So if he lived, he would have been black. So I told Iraton, I said, listen, go to your church, Iraton, and take down the white Jesus and put a black Jesus and see if they don't beat you to death up in there. And see, and when you turn the white Jesus to a black Jesus and see if those white Christians will still be Christians. They be like, well, I'm done with this shit. I'm done with this religion. They're not gonna worship nobody black. They gonna tell you, I'm done with this Christian shit, Maria. I'm done with this shit. Say Jesus is black. They say, oh, was he? Okay, I'm done with this religion. They're not gonna worship nobody black. They've been told Jesus is black. Jesus is black. They say, well, I'm done with this religion. But you said he was God. You told us he was the Lord. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm done with this shit.
You see, and then for them, they want us to buy the bullshit.
Exactly right, Maria. Exactly. Now that everybody said he was black, they're like, oh man, I'm about to be done with this shit. You're not gonna get white people, Maria, to worship nobody black. They're not gonna do it.
So they were only worshiping because they thought he was white.
Exactly. It was them. It supports that white supremacy mindset that they're superior and they want to believe they're godly. These are the most wickedest motherfuckers on the planet. How the hell could you ever believe that you were godly? They pillage, rob, steal. Not a godly bone in their body. Shit. So, when the truth comes out that, hey, all that was black people up there. If he lived, he'd be black. That's the fact when Putin released all them old photos about 3 months ago, showing that Jesus black and all the disciples were black, white people like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to worship this shit no more. Don't you believe he's the son of God and he's Christ? And yeah, but this a nigga now. This a nigga here. I can't be worshiping no niggas.
True.
And he was like, hey, you've been stealing from all these Christ people, since they black, you've been stealing from all these black people, enslaved them, treat them like shit, talking to them like shit. Well, I still want to do that, so I'm going to get rid of this religion. You're not going to find nobody white sitting around with no black Jesus in their house, Maria. Now that they've been told that image they got is fake, Maria, it's fake. They're not going to take it down and put no black man on that wall.
True. But in some churches in the villages in Uganda, even Jesus is black.
Oh, good for them. At least they made him black. Okay.
Because they want the people to understand.
At least they make him black. I don't fault them for that. I don't get mad at them for that. At least, if you're going to worship something, at least make it look like you. Shit, I don't get mad at them for doing that in Uganda. Whether the story's real or not, at least your God should at least look like you, Maria. If you're gonna worship something, at least make it look like you. The Africans the only one that had a God that didn't look like them. The East Indians got a Hindu God that looks like them. The goddamn Chinese got a God Buddhist. They made him look like him, look like them. White people made their God look like them. Only one Africans got a God that don't look like none of them. Shit. So if you do that, whether the story is true or not, I can respect that you got a guy that looks like you. Shit, at least.
Yeah, at least.
At least, exactly. Because when you worship other people, other guys and other people, that means you worship these people psychologically. And then you don't want to go to war with these people that's robbing and stealing and raping you. You see them as a god. Shout out to Demore who did that show last Saturday. That was a great show talking about the Mau Mau and they didn't know if white people were gods. Black people believe that. Black people didn't even know white people could die. Say God, because you had a religion in your mind. That's a lie. And so when the Mamas came back from World War II, they see the white man can die. So that's when they start finally fighting them. That's when the Kenyans and the Tanzanians and the Ugandans finally started fighting them. You know he wasn't a God. That wasn't in your mind. So you start going to the woods and the bush and start fighting this cracker who had stolen all your land and made you slaves in your own goddamn countries and had you paying taxes to them to work on the land that they stole from you. Like, these motherfuckers tell me they want to bring you a religion. Are you crazy? These wicked bastards.
True.
Go ahead, Maria, you got
True.
it.
And I think they were introducing that Jesus so that they can claim superiority.
Yes, Maria,
Because
yes.
question their decisions and all that, and
Oh, shoot. I thought he was anyway. Exactly. Yeah, that intensifies, you're right. That intensifies the superiority. Exactly right. But who would do that, Maria? A psychopath. They're psychopathic. Because they knew in the beginning when they were creating the religion, they were creating the false religion, that the person that lived there had to be black. If he existed, he would be black. So the pictures of Jesus at first were black. So only a psychopath changed the pictures to look like them and then force other people to worship a lie. That's a psychopath, Maria. So that's why you say they're not like us. Black people would never do no shit like that, Maria. We wouldn't do no shit like that because we're not psychopaths. See, black people are the only people on the planet that can't be racist. Black people, black people want to love everybody, Maria. They like everybody. They treat everybody better than they treat Africans, the Indians, the Chinese. Africans treat everybody with love and kindness and respect always. That's why people can come in your community and build stores, and black people will what? Go to those stores and patronize them stores. They will go buy from those people. Take a black person and go to a Chinese neighborhood or in China and put up your store, see if the Chinese buy from you. You'll go out of business in a week. They ain't buying from your black ass. Because they're naturally racist. They're not gonna buy. Let's say even your prices are better, Maria. You build a store in China and your prices are the best, better than the Chinese. They'll say, shit, we're not buying from your black ass. We're gonna let you go out of business. That money's going to our Chinese people. We're not gonna go and say, why? These prices are better because you're not us. We're not gonna put ourselves out of business to benefit your ass. That's what they do. The African like, no, I just want the better price, and I'm worried. It doesn't matter whether they're Chinese or not. We're all God's children. Africans say all that kind of bullshit. You know? Because the African is loving. That's our nature. At our own detriment, which is actually bad for us. It's at our own detriment that we do that. It keeps us impoverished. But that's our nature. You know, you can't find an African born that's naturally racist. It doesn't exist. You gotta teach the African not to hate. Say, hey man, you can't be buying from everybody. This is dangerous to us. You gotta teach the African not to be loving and kind, because that's his nature.
Like
Now he might be brutal. Go, Maria.
No, you say you finish.
I'm done. I was done.
With that, when it comes to the issues of the Bible, I still question, like, when they decide to say that Jesus was white, even the Bible itself does not say Jesus was white. There is nowhere
It
in
says
the
he's
Bible
black.
where that is
No, in the
written.
Bible says
There is no.
in the Bible it says he's black, Maria. Even in the Bible it tells you that he's black. The Bible. In the Bible it says he's black, Maria. It says he has skin of
Yeah, it
brass,
does
which is
not say
brown.
that he's white.
No, it says he has skin of brass burnt. It said he has skin of burnt brass, which is dark skin, and has woolly hair, African hair. Tells you right there in the Bible that he's black. That he has woolly hair. So where they get the stringy hair Jesus from? They just made, and the Bible tells you Jesus has woolly hair, an African. He has African hair, and he says he has
True.
his skin of burnt brass, meaning dark, meaning black, meaning
So,
African.
in other words, the depiction of Jesus as white is a product of political forces.
Exactly. Yes, they did it because they wanted
Mm.
white supremacy. Exactly.
They wanted to
They
dominate. They
yes.
wanted to dominate through colonialism and religion. They wanted to dominate the entire globe. So they had to
Yes.
create white Jesus.
Exactly. Political. So you see, how could you figure it out so easily? Right there, Maria. How did you figure out? Yeah, for political purposes. Exactly. For dominance. See, how can you figure that out in 3 seconds? And most Africans, you tell that they can't even figure this shit out. How's that possible? Yes. Exactly what you said. It was for political and military dominance. Exactly. And that's what Constantine told you when he was creating this shit. That we use this for political and military dominance while we're creating this Christian religion. And it says in this, how's it go? In this religion I conquer, or in this belief I conquer. I forgot what he said. Yeah, I said in this religion I create, I conquer, or in this belief I conquer. So yes, Maria, it's all about all political reasons. Like it was about. It was all political. Had nothing to do with any religion and love and brotherhood and none of that shit.
Yeah.
That's all.
But anyway, Africans, I don't know, well, now that a lot of even other Africans are saying impossible, impossible. That means Jesus is weak. Can you imagine that?
I mean, they said, well, now he's weak.
Some other people are like saying, how is that true? It is better Jesus to remain white because we are seeing his manifestation in the European countries. They are better than Africa and
See,
all
exactly.
that.
And that was that's a colonized mind, and
Yeah.
you're not even realizing that Europe is better than you because of the theft of Africa. Europe is developed because of the theft of
True.
Africa. It's not developed by itself. It developed because it starts stealing from Africa. And see, that's why I keep you ignorant because you don't even know that. So you have like you said, the African. Oh, look at Europe. Why can't we keep Jesus white? Because look how great Europe is. You say no, you dumb nigga. You don't know that goddamn. It was developed because of the stealing of Africa. 400 or 500 years, all Europeans couldn't read or write. Europe was all fucked up, impoverished, dirty, damp, raggedy. See, you don't know none of that history. You just believe, oh, the European is so great. Why can't we keep Jesus white? Like, damn, your mind is fucked up. What do you do with that? I lost Maria. Maybe it's me lost. Oh, what's going on, Jibba? Read some of your comments if I can. damn phone. Exactly right. Because it's stupid. It's a dumb shot. Because it's dumb. It doesn't. Why would he make himself the son of God and kill himself? It's all nonsense. It's all stupid. Why the story doesn't make any sense. It's not meant to make any sense. It's illogical because it's a lie. But they've used that lie for power and wealth. I'm sure Maria's gonna make it back, Jibba. Give her 5 more minutes, and I'm gonna wrap it up myself. I always come on the show just to be a guest. They know I'll be the only one here. Windy as hell out here too. Shit. I think Maria's gonna make it back, guys. Let's promise. I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. Let's let him join Demore on his show in a little bit. Peace, y'all.